welcome to my channel. My name is Nana and this is Nana Space. I do reviews on series, movies, trailers, teasers, promos. If you haven't liked my channel already, please like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that if I put up any videos, you'll be first to notified. Today I'll be doing Lupin Season 2 Episode 3 review. This was a lot. This was very heartwarming. Let's get right into it. So the scene starts off recapping from when Claire was hugging Raoul at the very end of last episode, and Claire told Hassan to run. So Hassan left, and then the scene cuts into present day time, which starts off with Ganimard. I get his name right this time. Ganimard was a police officer drinking coffee in a coffee shop, and I think he spilled the coffee on himself, and Hassan called him and said, "I've got to work for you. Meet me here at this time." And Ganimard obviously was very surprised he had a phone call, and he was up for it. He didn't realize that somehow Hassan was filming him or watching him from afar, because he told him to take the stain of the coffee off his clothes with cold water, and he was literally puzzled as to how Hassan is doing what he's doing. Anyway, so the scene fast forward into present day. Present day, I mean currently where they are. So Hassan is in a cafe with Benjamin, his best friend, and they're hatching up a plan on what to do about this encounter with Pellegrini and his family, because now they know where he lives, and he confided in Ben that Claire had made a deal with Pellegrini to give him up if Raoul came back to Claire, which he wasn't happy about. They had to find a way out. So they had to have a plan, and at the end of the episode the plan will be laid out beautifully, but we then go from that scene cut into when they were much younger, where Hassan first bumped into Juliet at school. So Juliet is Pellegrini's daughter, and at that time they were friends, but due to his race and his family's background and his father's encounter with the family, they were not meant to be. They were not allowed to be together. So that's how we got introduced to them. Then you get into present time, Hassan hatching his plan. So he was just walking by a restaurant randomly and saw that Claire was sitting in there by herself. And Claire invited Hassan to sit in. I was like, this feels a bit weird. Like, Juliet, I beg your pardon, Juliet was sitting in the restaurant randomly, and Hassan happened to be walking by randomly. And Juliet invited Hassan in, and, they had a meal. And then Hassan asked, "Oh, are you here by yourself? Because I'm worried that maybe you were setting me up for your father." And Juliet, in her clear conscience, said, "I don't know anything about what my father is doing. I'm here, sitting here, waiting for a gentleman called Vermont, who's a donor, and he's not turned up yet, so I'm here for a meal. If he doesn't turn up, we can have a meal." And, I think their previous emotions, which they've kind of buried, came out a bit, also it was perceived, right? So it came out a bit. They were talking about how when they were younger they would have run away and not paid for the food and everything, and that's exactly what they did. So they ate the food. Turns out that the tap was on Vermont's name, and so they ran away, stole a bike, and then disappeared into the sunset, and had this very nice moment where Juliet was hugging on to Hassan and the music was playing, took her home, gave her a hug, and then she said, "If you want me, you will get one thing for me." Now I'm going to stop there and backtrack. So we cut into Ben's shop. So one day Ben was there, and Claire, that is Hassan's ex-wife, walked in with her boyfriend or love interest called Mark. they walked in, introduced themselves, and then they left. And then Mark came back and said, "Oh, I've seen a necklace in your shop that I think Claire would love. Can I come and pay for it later?" So that's what he did. And then she got the bracelet from Mark, and they took a picture of it and put it on social media. So apparently Juliet has seen that picture because she was clearly stalking Claire online. And I told her son that if you want me, Juliet, you have to go and get the necklace, no, the bracelet for me. Now, what came about this conversation about stealing the bracelet was Juliet had a conversation with Hassan about maybe a picture that she wanted, I'm not quite sure. But it turns out that Hassan has stolen this very prestigious painting and had given it to Juliet, and it was on the news that this important painting had been stolen, and the whole France was very sad about this. And a few seconds later, the police turned up to try and search or potentially ask Juliet whether she knew something about this painting that is stolen, because she was in the museum at the time, and she said no. Clearly she lied because she had a painting in her room. So then Juliet said, if you've managed to steal this painting for me and you want me to be your potential love interest, you should go and steal that bracelet from Claire for me, because if you love me, that's what you do. So Hassan walked in one evening and Claire and Mark were asleep. Somehow he was walking and stepped on a crack or a creak, and that sound turned Claire and Mark rolling in their bed, and no one woke up. Somehow Lupin managed to get the bracelets off Claire's wrists and then left. Before he left, he gave a book to Raoul, as always. Raoul was also asleep. And gave the bracelet to Claire. No, gave the bracelet to Juliet. So then Juliet feels like, Hassan has won her trust because he has gone this far for her. Now the next stage in this is we cut to Pellegrini, who, as shady as he is, raising charity funds, money left, right, center. Turns out that 85% of the money goes into a Cayman Islands that he set up, and 15% actually goes towards the charity work. Now the accountant that walked in, Philip, he looks like a 2-year-old. He was a child. So Pellegrini was like, "How old are you?" And he was like, "Well, how old are you? Because my age is not in question here. You'll be paying me 10,000 euros per hour, $10,000 per hour, and that's the most important number you need to focus on." And that was it. So that scene left, and we got to a point where Hassan and Ben met up again. And then the story unfolds as to why we got the bracelet stolen, the picture stolen, and Juliet's trust won. So Hassan had this plan that if Pellegrini is going to come after him and his son, he is going to use Juliet as a bait to get Pellegrini. So he's going to, in effect, turn Juliet against the father because she now won the trust. Met her outside one day for a meal and then opened up to her and told her that, look, your father has falsely accused my dad of stealing from them when they're younger. And Julia was like, no, that's not true. And Hassan was like, ask your mother. And Julia was like, well, my mother doesn't even talk to my dad. And Hassan was like, exactly, because she knows the truth. So Hassan gave Juliet Ganimard's details and told her, go and see your mother, find out the truth, give these police numbers, phone number to your mother, And they will arrange to go and get your dad arrested because that's the right thing to do. Or so she was telling him. So, you know, it turns out that the picture that was stolen was not real. You know, Benjamin had painted this replica of an original imaging. The news that was filtered into Juliet's computer was one that was doctored. So it was about the that church that got burnt in France, which name I've forgotten. It literally just escaped me. And they had messed up with that video, so they've doctored the video to make it look like it was about the painting, but it wasn't about the painting, it was something completely different. So the video was doctored, it wasn't true. I don't know where she gets the news from, but yeah, it wasn't true. The picture that was taken was a fake. The bracelet, somehow Hassan managed to return the bracelet back to Claire. And I'm not sure whether it was because Juliet felt bad and gave it back to him to go and give it back to her. But she's out of the know and she's out of the know, but the two guys are in the know, in the middle. So the police came at the very end and arrested Pellegrini for money laundering, for false accusation, for, you know, doing shady charity work. And all the while, Juliet was on the other side of town waiting for Hassan. So Hassan was on the phone to Benjamin and was like, you know, this is all done. Let's finish. You know, there's nothing else to do. And Hassan's heart, you know, I really loved you. Your dad didn't want us to be together because I was black, blah, blah. But now let's start on a clean slate. Let's go forward. You know, everything transparent. I don't know how Juliet's going to feel when she finds out that this was all orchestrated and she was a pawn in that game. I don't know how she's going to feel. But, long story short, while the father was being arrested, Hassan and Juliet finally shared a kiss in present-day life. And then the scene ended. So we'll see how that plays out in the final episode of this season. Once again, like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on your notification bell. Leave your comments, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!